Okay, you may all switch on your microphones and stop snoring now. Anybody awake?
Delightful topic.
Yeah, I'm going to actually share this other thing. Share again. Share. Let me share screen again. I can just. Okay, so what I'm going to do is bring up this one summary. Put it on the 2-page here. Right. Anybody got some interesting comments or questions? What did you think of that? So this summary, I sent this to Pete. He can send that to everybody as well, and the transcript actually.
Yeah, I did send it, but just a few minutes before the video.
Okay. Well, I thought that was very interesting. It's actually quite an intense topic and quite a lot to it. And that guy's got a dedicated science department and whatever. And what did he say? I'm sorry, they never really concentrated on what he announced in the beginning, what he's doing, brain augmentation, but during the day and during the night. I would have been interested to know more about that. Everybody's still asleep? Come on, come with the questions.
I actually found the bit about the lack of sufficient sleep tied up with mental problems actually very interesting, and obviously I think most of us have heard about this, but that came across loud and clear, that one.
Yeah, and he said good sleep is fundamental to good health.
Yep.
You can't have one without the other. We spend our lives focusing on, correct food, correct exercise, correct attitude, and all sorts of other things. I mean, very occasionally, nobody really talks about.
We just take the sleep for granted.
Yeah. So a bit of a wake up call to realize you've got to sleep properly.
I like the wake up call. Yeah.
Back in the early 60s, I was involved with sleep deprivation because the Cold War had started and pilots were having to fly for a long time. So we were volunteers. We didn't volunteer, we were volunteered for. That was classic. And my particular one was staying awake and all the things that you could do and so on and so on. And whether that made any difference or not, but wasn't very successful.
I think if you look at the Guinness Book of Records, somewhere there's a record for somebody staying awake for the longest possible time. I don't think it's very long at all. I don't think anybody gets past 2 or 3 days.
No, I think you're talking there, certainly within our group, they were talking about 300 hours. And, in other words, you've got to operate a machine. When a blue light comes on, you've got to push a blue button. And you do that more or less every hour. And
so I take it you spend the rest of your life really appreciating a good sleep.
yeah, well, I spent the rest of my life thinking how lucky I was able to survive. But you hear
300 hours. I mean,
stories.
yeah, that's a couple of weeks.
Well, they're talking about. The Americans are talking about in the 60s. they were talking about a month
Wow,
with probably
that's got to really affect you mentally.
oh, it did. It did. There was some. I have very few memories of that time. It was a really messed up. I was like in a dwell all the time, complete dwell.
So you just look at the first point in the summary there, why we sleep. Sleep assists because it serves vital functions. Every major physiological and mental system is enhanced by sleep and impaired without it. You no longer ask, why do we sleep? But rather, is there anything sleep doesn't help? Amazing.
Oh, quite right.
Well, if you look at my cat is cats are definitely nocturnal. What do you call them? He sleeps all day. Quite happy to sleep for 14 hours, sort of an hour before sunrise, an hour after. Then at 11:30 at night, then he wants to play.
Yeah.
And to jump on my toes and claw them.
I was on. I mean, we were at the RAF station. We were on a 3-shift system, and so it was 8 hours on, and you had to go to sleep, and so on and so on. And really, most of the people were very short with each other. It was very. It wasn't at all pleasant.
I
But
can
the
imagine.
thing is, yeah, but I like the 3-shift system. But then there were psychologists who were saying it was inefficient. You had pilots. Well, we had a dreadful accident. A Canberra crashed in on the runway, flipped because one of the engines failed, and we were taken out, rushed over to the wreckage and all the rest of it. And I found a helmet, and the sergeant said, "We'll see if it's a bloody head in it." And I turned around, I looked at it, I said, I fainted.
Yeah. Sounds like you can tell us some stories there, John.
Well, there's no stories that well, I suppose people want to talk. There's no real stories. I did my time, served, what was it, 3 years at Her Majesty's pleasure. And that was it. There was lots of things going on. And remember, far more than that is, of course, it's right at the height of the Cold War. And, the Americans were flying around around Russia. What was it, 50 miles inside the ring of Russia. And working on shift, 8 hours a time. You want to get off shift. I mean, you have to refuel aircraft when they touch down, pack them in, do this, do that. But yeah, I suppose to a youngster that was mind-boggling. Nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, now, at the end of the day, I can say I didn't think it wasn't a very clever thing to do.
Yeah, that's called wisdom with age, eh?
Yeah.
If there was any more of those stories, I might not sleep tonight. I found the talk absolutely fascinating, to be honest. There was a lot there that I didn't know, and I found very, very interesting. I thought it was interesting that he was speculating that we remember every one of our dreams. Because I did wonder what my head was doing, with all that empty space. But sometimes, you relive a dream, and I suppose maybe it's the brain just pulls it out of storage and plays it again.
Yeah, I find that I probably got 4 or 5 dreams. I hardly ever dream. I never remember dreams. My wife nearly every morning says, "Oh, she had this dream last night about da, 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 da," and tells me a long story. But occasionally, when I do remember a dream, and it's often a dream that I've had a number of times before, but not within short period. It might have been 3 months before, and a year before that, and a year before that, and it's exactly the same dream. But then there are different ones that I have. It's as if you've got some sort of a memory that you've inherited from some decades ago from some ancestor or something that's still in your memory, and it's the scenery is in such detail, the buildings are in detail, what happens is in such detail. There's a river or there's a beach and there's whatever. It's like nothing you actually experienced yourself in life. No other detail that but these details are so, and they're so vivid, these particular dreams. And they hardly ever come up, but occasionally I do, and it's the same dream, but the same things happen throughout the dream. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure that I have this belief that memories can be genetically inherited. I mean, how else do you explain animal instinct? How do you explain as a child? I picked up a little bird with no feathers in oak forest that was on the farm I grew up on. Lying on the ground, obviously been kicked out of the nest. I picked it up and rescued it and put it in my budgie's cage with the other budgies and got it to, eventually it became big and it got feathers with colors, and I could see it was a finch, a weaver bird. And when it became, I think, sexually mature after about a year and a half, I allowed them to fly around during the day. I fly around the house. The house was, the doors all had fly screen doors and things like that. They couldn't escape easily. And they didn't go far, but this bird went and found bits of wool and bits of thread and started threading them into the side of the cage, trying to make a nest. Now, it had never been to nest building school with other finches, other weaver birds, but it had this instinct and knew how to start trying to weave a nest. That had to have been inherited. So how do you explain that?
But
I think dreams could be some sort of some of it could be inherited memories as well.
I don't think that topic was touched on. There could be the unanswered question right at the end.
Yeah.
This goes into a different realm, but what I want to share is when I was in my teens, on more than one occasion, I was able to solve a trigonometry problem I had by sleeping. And I would wake up and gosh, in my sleep, I processed the problem, which I couldn't solve, the trigonometry, while I was awake. And this happened more than one occasion, but people frown when I share that experience with them.
Yeah, I absolutely believe. And in fact, I've made use of that during my life. I learned to make use of it. If I have a problem which has got a number of options and a number of things, a particularly difficult problem in work, where you had to solve a problem, and I just couldn't think of a way to get around it. And I eventually learned to say, right, go to sleep with what are the components of the problem, just store that. And I would wake up the next morning and I would have the solution and I would implement it. And that has happened a number of times, similar to your thing, except it's just so whenever there's been a really, really difficult problem, that's one of the things I've done as well. And it's amazing that this is actually what he was describing, part of this process of your mind automatically pulling together a whole lot of things and sorting them out. It's amazing how they can research all this and work all this out, actually. All right, how are we going?
Yeah, right.
Kat, you want to go and dream now?
Yeah, very, very interesting, but I'm going to bed now, so thank you very much.
You can go and dream about your next telescope.
Yeah, and sleep on it.
Exactly, it was very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll probably have a dream, but I dream that I own a C-Star S50 Pro. That was my dream tonight.
Yeah, work out how you can get the money to buy it. Yeah.
Okay, but it was a great topic. I thought. Nice one, Pete.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
and I think there's
and
actually a lot more, a hell of a lot more to it than was discussed. Okay, thanks for your attendance. It was enjoyable. Thank you.
I'm just wanting to quickly ask, I wonder if there are any programs dealing with circadian rhythms and sleep with astronauts on long trips sort of around the moon and back and that sort of thing, where they are, I don't know how they deal with the circadian rhythms, but I'm going to try and find some material on that, because I think that's also
Yeah,
very
I think that
interesting.
guy did touch on it a little bit when he said, oh, they try and blank off the circadian night rhythm, blank off the light from the outside, and then open
Yeah.
up during the 12-hour of daytime or whatever. But, yeah. Of course, the other thing is when you're traveling around the Earth, sort of 12 hours in one direction or whatever, and you suddenly your rhythm is totally out of sync with the daytimes in the area that you are. But it's quite a problem. And he didn't really explain. I mean, we've heard of the melatonin and how the chemicals affect your cycle and how it can aid it and so on, and how the body produces these things to signal the things. So yeah, would have been interesting to hear a bit more about how that all works. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
just thinking of
Say again,
when you do long journeys, jet lag. That must fall into this as well.
Jet lag is exactly that. It's your circadian rhythm being totally out of sync with the daylight hours that you find yourself in.
Yeah. Okay, but thanks very much, everybody. Enjoy your evening.
All right. Cheers. See you next time.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks, everybody. Most enjoyable.